change is coming for all of us. We just haven't figured it out yet. I've filmed all over this park, and this is a pretty cool one that I've been trying to find a good way of doing. It just doesn't seem to be one. Doesn't mean I don't keep trying though. When we write for the internet, we want to speak to the trunk, not to the branch. When we return to places, we're afforded the opportunity to start anew. We see it in a different light. I'm taking the kid to the park today. I love showing off little bits and pieces of my city, showing people where it is that I live, how that relates to who I am as a person, and where it is that I live, what it feels like to be here, what time of year it is. It's March. The snow is melting. I'm walking in the mud, but it's still frozen a little bit. I can hear the geese. They've returned. Birds are chirping in the trees. It's a beautiful place, even though it's turned brown again, like it does every spring. Someday we'll move away. We're not there yet. People back east ask me, if you hate it so much, why don't you leave? Well, there's nowhere else to go. The terrible part about Alberta is that once you live here, you really can't go anywhere else. The people you know, the places you've seen, it all relates back to here. It can be really, really difficult to live not here, because everywhere that's not here is really expensive. Edmonton comes with its challenges, but it is cheap. It is nice enough. And I enjoy the people here. I really do. Not everyone does. Folks here are just downright practical, and I like that about them. They know how to weld. They know how to do basic carpentry. I can tell you what the wires do in the machine. Each and every one. It's kind of the beauty part of this place. From here in the middle of March, everything's very, very gray, very, very brown. Nothing's quite poking out yet. And we got snow in the forecast for this week. So I'm taking my daughter to the park. We're gonna get as much running around in as we can before the snow hits. And then we'll go back to our ordinary life of hiding inside, waiting for the snow to melt. I'm really wary of putting her on camera, so she's gonna stay in her stroller here. Dad's gonna keep walking around. Alberta's got big skies. Deepest blue you can ever think of. I think there's a problem with creativity. The more you give of it, the less you have in the tank. And you have to stop being creative and go out and do a little bit of living. Sometimes that works and sometimes it don't, but oftentimes I find myself going to the park instead of going to the studio if I want to break out of my creative rut. I'm going to try and shoot somewhere where I've never been successful. Vaulted Willow. Vaulted Willow has a number of technical challenges to filming there. I'm going to rattle off some of the reasons why it's hard to film. It's loud, it's bright, the colors are kind of funny. There's not quite any straight lines there. It's really quite challenging. I've filmed there many times and I have not been able to come up with much good footage. But we're going to try today. Because that's what we do. We try. We don't just give up. Much of the technical challenges are due to the fact that it is right beside this busy road, and that makes it hard to film. However, We have come up with some techniques today. I'm wearing my lavalier. We're going to see if I can make it work. Part of my trickery is I'm just going to stay away from the road. We'll try and film from the other side. We've also come here first thing in the morning, so the light's nice and low. Whoa, that was a squirrel going in the sewer. Dad, dad, dad. Yeah, I can hear you. I couldn't really pin down why exactly it is so hard to film here. Because if you were walking past and you've never been here, you'd think it was the best place to film in this whole park. It is objectively not the best place to film in this park. It's really challenging to film there, so we gotta figure something out because it's too cool to not film. Yeah, we're moving quick. There's a kid in that cart, so that got a little scary. As you can see, Edmonton is not very colorful this time of year. I think that the pastels of this statue only serve to make it more difficult to film. It wants to kind of blend in with the background of the park, make it look like it doesn't quite exist. Which is one of the cool things about this statue. I think what has frustrated me most is that this is among my favorite statues in Edmonton, and it's really hard to film. You can see how busy the road is here. This is vaulted Willow. It is really, really difficult to film here. Change is coming for all of us. We just haven't figured that out yet. What even does that mean? Right now it means that I'm filming in the park where I filmed on Monday. On Monday, the weather was beautiful. The sky was blue. Snow had melted. As you can see, that has all changed. Truth be told, I prefer change to stasis. As a new father, I see change on a daily basis. Last week she wasn't walking. This week she is walking. We've conditioned ourselves to not expect change, even though change happens every day. It's just a matter of how quickly and how much. We can see small changes. We can see big changes a lot easier than small changes, but that change has occurred is the important part. The change is what makes it important that we've been here before. There's nothing novel about this park. I've been here many times. What makes it interesting today is how different the weather is from when I was here on Monday. On Monday the change in this park over the past 72 hours has been profound. We thought that spring was here, but we were mistaken. Now we get to do it all over again. It is the unexpected changes that feel the largest. Even if it's only something incremental, if we aren't expecting it, the change feels large. The videos which don't describe change are particularly boring. It's one thing to lead a boring life, it's quite another to bring the audience along with you. What we want to see is change. Even if it's minor incremental changes like a change in the weather, they can be very large if you live someplace like Canada, where a 72-hour shift in the weather changes everything. Changes the landscape, changes the feeling of the place. Just my general outlook on life shifts when the weather does, where I can move in this park also shifts. When the snow is melted, we have the whole park, but as it snows like this, we only get to stay on the paths. You can't see it, but my daughter's in the stroller ahead of me, all bundled up. Part of why we go to the park is simply just to acclimatize her to the weather. It's Canada. You gotta get used to this. If you don't get used to it, it's not gonna make you any happier. You just have to suffer in the cold. I was somewhat foolish today in that I didn't wear my long underwear. I was smart and my kids bundled up, but not so much for Dad, which is okay. Dad's pushing the cart, so at least Dad is staying warm. The amphitheater is a real cool spot, and I really do enjoy filming here. It's just kind of tricky to get to sometimes. And boy, howdy, is it ever snowing. It is snowing real hard. Oh, and it's icy underneath all this. The internet may well see me fall on my butt today. Now we get to cut a fresh path through the snow. Marks the change. As you can see, I'm traveling through fresh, unbroken snow. It's a lot of fun. I couldn't do this on Monday. It's what's different. It's what's changed. There's snow. This is why you should write about the weather, friends. Because weather is change. The weather is excellent when it is used to indicate change. I believe the literary term is pathetic fallacy. When the weather matches the story. Though this is mostly a story of impermanence. You can never know that spring is here until it is. Now, this weather is quite something, but this weather would be normal. Well, it is normal, it's March. But this isn't normal weather after we've had such a sunny day. Change is imperative. Change is what makes the story interesting. Change is humanity. Humanity can't sit still. So why should the story sit still? There should always be progress, moving forward. Change. It doesn't have to be good, it doesn't have to be bad. It just has to be different. In this case, the weather has conspired to bring change. It's a change in texture, a change in feeling, a change in the sense of who we are as people. When we talk about the weather, we're talking about what's happening right now, right here. This isn't the sort of thing that's happening in Toronto. It's not the sort of thing that's happening in New York or LA, London, Paris, Tokyo. No. Just know this. My kid is 14 months old. You can see how hard it's snowing, and we're going to the park today. We got to get her acclimatized to it. Slipping on the ice. Hello there, beautiful people of the internet. Today we're talking about change. Uh-oh, you can hear the Canada gooses. Cobra chickens. They are beasts, ferocious beasts. There's a tremendous beauty in the change that happens with the spring snow. You get a taste of spring, you get to feel the sun on your face, but then you're humbled by a blizzard. We aren't there yet. We're still working on it. Spring will come soon enough, and we can't be impatient about it. The snow makes conifers extraordinarily beautiful. Spruce trees are beautiful in the sun, but it's just not the same. So when they're all loaded up with snow, it just makes the colors pop, and you see a shadow against the horizon. It's a huge indication of change in this park is the snow that's built up on the trees and hasn't had a chance to blow off yet. The thing is that the weather has changed, and so have I. Might seem like the same person as I was on Monday, but I'm not looking at the world in the same way, not walking in the park the same way. The weather has changed, and so have I. I meditate upon this thought. What exactly has changed? We're gonna have another go with vaulted willow. It's really challenging. It is a very difficult place to film for a number of technical reasons, not the least of which is the noise of the road, but it also tends to wash out in the color space, even though it is very distinctive coloring. This is vaulted willow. It is very difficult to film here, but I've tried anyway. I hope you enjoy it. What has changed this time is that it snowed, and the snow has allowed me to tell a novel story about vaulted willow. You can see how the snow builds up on her, washes out the colors, but you've also seen that I've modified how she looks today. It's change. Inside the sculpture is also quite difficult to film. The colors aren't right, the sound isn't right, but we try anyway, because someday that will change and this will be a good place to film. I just don't know if that's today. Is today the day that vaulted willow gives me good footage? The change in the weather brings a change in my person. The change in the weather brings a change in my person. Oof, I got spun around. The little one's getting tired of the park, so we're gonna go. It's been an absolute delight talking to you folks today. Big changes are coming, I promise. Doesn't seem like that sometimes, but it's really true. When we least expect change is when the biggest changes happen, so be prepared like a good Boy Scout. Because if you're prepared, these changes aren't much. These changes aren't much but a bump in the road. We're surfing on the chaos. Don't let it pull you into the undertow, because taking the chaos too seriously is only going to lead you to failure. I don't want to see that happen. I want to see each and every one of you succeed. It's the Canadian way. It's what we do in the snow. Change is inevitable. If you try and fight it, it'll come and kick your butt. Don't fight change. Live it. Live the change. Feel the change. Woo! Whoa!